ready for 2 very intense days? Yeah. Have you water, snacks? You will need the energy. Okay, so you are invited here by Google. So I can imagine that you think that this talk is going to be about data, right? Well, actually, no. It's going to be about this. The feelings. The wants and needs about the people who's entering your site. Who are they? How can we help them? How can we make them like our experience? Because as all we know, understanding the users is the key. If we solve the lives of our customers, they will choose us. If we make a great experience for them, they will choose us. And that is why the founders of Google, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, stated this as the first rule of Google: focus on the user and all else will follow. And that's kind of easy to say, okay? Thanks, Larry, thanks, Sergey. How do you do that? What should we actually do? Well, right now, a lot of companies are doing this, and they're really good at it. The quantitative analytics of it all. That's amazing. I'm so happy about that. But I sometimes feel that we have so much data and so little insight. Because this is what we do. So we look at our data. We see that these are all of our visitors coming into the site. And we have a bounce rate of, say, 33%. And we have a conversion rate of 3%. Okay, is that good? Are we solving the lives for our customers? Are we giving them a great experience? We have no idea from these numbers. So what we do, and I'm an analytics person as well, I love analytics, my happy place. What we do is make comparisons. So we can either make historical comparisons. If this was in February, then how did we do during January? Are we improving? We can also use data from competitors to benchmark. Are we better than them? Yes. This will give us some answers. But I can imagine that several of you out here have gone to your manager, your boss, and said, so we're seeing a pattern. The bounce rate is getting worse. That's not good. And our boss says, great that you found that out. Why? And we're like, yeah. So, good question. Yes, there are ways that we can use data to find that out. Definitely, there's a lot of ways. But what I would suggest, and what we're going to talk about here today, is this. We can't only do the quantitative analysis. We must start also doing the qualitative. That's why when we find out the why. That's when we start to get to know our users. But I see so few companies doing this. It's so rare. And I think it has to do with that it takes guts to listen. It's hard to hear people's opinions about your site. We are going to listen to a few usability tests. I don't want to make anyone uncomfortable, so I'm not going to show the sites that they are using. But listen to their feelings. Listen to their reactions. And imagine that this was something that came in about your site. Let's hear it.
Seriously?
No sizes. Are you freaking kidding me? Why do they even have this?
Now it's some sort of email thing that's just
annoying to me. Now I get a message about cookies, that's also annoying.
Getting a little impatient.
If this was a usual shopping experience, I would probably have left by the third try.
And the images are loading, takes forever, and I really don't feel like waiting.
By now I would have actually not done this. Not on my cell phone. If I was on my computer, yeah. On my cell phone, I would have gone, no, it's not really worth it.
Okay, that's it.
Oh my lord.
That's harsh. But we learn from it. Just because we don't hear these frustrations doesn't mean that they don't exist. So we need to find out about it in order to be able to fix it. The first time I did usability tests, I was the digital marketing manager at the car company Hyundai, and the opinions coming in were pretty much like this. It was about a site that I had been working with, and I was sweating bullets. I was having such anxiety, hearing them getting so frustrated with my site. So I spent a night pretty much not sleeping. And the day after I went to my boss, Roland Begin, and he looked at the videos and he said, good, now we know. So let's fix it. And that is how we should look at usability tests. Some of you who've seen me before know that I think that this is the rule for conversion rate optimization. We need to start celebrating that we find this stuff out. To not shy away from usability tests just because it's difficult and it makes us uncomfortable. We need to celebrate that we know what to fix, and then we can grow. So, we're going to play a bit. I'm a bit nervous about this because I will need your participation. Please be kind to me and do the little exercise I have prepared. We're going to do it like this. Pair up, or be three if you need be, and the person sitting closest to that wall, start thinking about a site right now that you want to test. If you are not sitting next to your colleague, I would recommend that you use your own site, but don't tell the other person that. Because in that case, they will be super honest, super polite with you. You don't want that. Also, start thinking about an assignment. So if you're not using your own site, choose a competitor. And if that would be a retail site, ask the other person, when we're doing this, what kind of clothes item are you thinking about buying right now? And the person might say, I want to have a spring coat. Good, go to this site and find the perfect coat for you. Activate their wants and needs by asking them to find something that they actually would like. If you're from a travel site or want to test a travel site, ask them, where do you want to go this summer? Or finance. Imagine that you are looking to buy an apartment. Go to this site and see if this would be a loan that could fit you. Make sense? Good. Person sitting closest to that wall. This is what you should do. You should pick up your mobile. You listen to the assignment, and then you start using that site. Think aloud. If you're reading something, read it aloud. If you're experiencing something, frustration, confusion, say it. Do not be polite, be honest. We want to know what's not working. And, am I missing anything? No. The person who has given the assignment, don't ask anything, don't give instructions. Just sit quietly and listen and write up the problems. Does that make sense? Good. Let's play with me a bit. Go. Okay. Okay, so let's start wrapping that up. Thank you so much. Let's start placing down our mobiles. You're so amazing. Give yourself an applaud. I bow down to you. Amazing job, everyone. That's just fantastic that you wanted to do that with me. So that was 3 minutes, which is the average amount of time that we give a site before we give up. How many in here managed to complete the assignment during those 3 minutes? Not that many. One. Okay, I want to hear from 2 of you. Shout out, preferably down here so I can hear you, a problem that you discovered.
Our sign-up page is too big.
Sign-up page, perfect, perfect. Very common problem, I would say. Something that a lot of companies are doing incorrectly. Thank you. Another thing.
The keyboard took up the list of results. So the keyboard on the mobile phone was covering the list of results.
Wow, okay. Did you see any results at all?
One.
Ah! Okay, thankfully, but still annoying, right? Because then I can imagine that it also would be quite difficult to scroll through those results. Wonderful, I love this. So, if I'm asking all of you, how many in here discovered a problem? Yeah. And that, my friends, is why we do usability tests. How many in here also thought up of a solution? You saw the problem and you kind of figured, yeah, but we could solve this like this. How many? Yes. Fantastic. That is why we need usability tests. It would be quite difficult to see, for instance, in Google Analytics, even though I love Google Analytics, don't get me wrong, it's my happy place, definitely, that we only saw one result, for instance. Practically impossible. So, just a couple of things before we leave this. Start doing this with your company. Ask 5 friends a month to check your site with an assignment. Ask them to record the session. Screen recording is available through apps and through the control panel on pretty much all mobiles. And by doing that, you give them privacy. You right now did this usability test under the worst circumstances possible. You were, like, there was a lot of people around you. You were kind of stressed. That's the worst. So by starting to do this and sending people assignments to do at home, that's the perfect situation. Okay, this is how I would structure the feedback when you start doing this. You write up the problems, and you start to color how many users are seeing the same thing. In the link over there, you can find an example, a template, that you can start using. Got a picture of that. Yes, 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 fantastic. Amazing. But you might be thinking that, yeah, but that was just one person's opinion. What will that mean to me? Well, actually, the Nielsen Norman group, amazing as they are, did a study, and we practically just need 5 usability tests until the curve for usability problems found starts to flatten out. Because these are bugs we're talking about. These are usability test problems. And people are going to find out pretty much the same things. So 5 a month, start doing it. Okay, let's dive a bit deeper. So we're talking about your visitors. These were your visitors. Quite anonymous, I would say. Can we get to know your customers in any faster way than having one-on-one interviews, because that is going to take a lot of time? Can we assume anything on the basis of them being human? Because a conversion is a decision made. So how do people make purchase decisions? This is a framework that a lot of companies are using. It's the buyer's journey. I can imagine that you recognize it. We're using a lot of different words, a lot of different phases, but it's pretty much the same thing. So first of all, we have the awareness. And I'm also going to go through how we, several years ago, tracked this at Hyundai. We did not have an automatic attribution tool, so this is before those advanced tools. But I'm going to go through it anyway because it might be interesting. So first of all, we have the awareness phase. That is where we start communicating what kind of need we are trying to satisfy or what kind of product we have. We track that through reach, even though I sometimes can be a bit hesitant about reach, but CPM. Then we made sure that those people also saw the next ad, which is where we went into the interest phase. When they clicked the ad, we knew that they were in the interest phase. We had got their interest. And that was calculated through cost per click. When they then started to visit product pages, add to basket and so on, then we knew that they were in the consideration phase. This is where they started to evaluate the products. Good. We track that through cost per lead or cost per action. So what kind of page they went to. And finally, the purchase. If it's cost per sale or ROI, that's up to the company. So this is a very, very common framework being used. But there's one problem. It assumes that all people go through these phases the same way. That all have the same cognitive process. And in my usability test, I've started to notice that it's a lot of differences. There are patterns, yes, but it's not just one way. So let's look at two videos of two people using the same site, but notice how different they are approaching their assignment. Have a look at the first one, first video.
Start investing, apply for a loan. I'm guessing I'm gonna click here, apply for a loan. I don't know why the buttons have different shapes. Better financial revolution. Okay, I'm gonna move on. This is a lot of text. I would not read all this text. This is a lot of stuff to fill out. I'm guessing that you would lose a lot of people in the conversion right here.
Perfect. Do you notice how he did not want to read? He wants to just act forward, 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 forward. Now look at the other person, same site, but wanting something completely different from that site. Next video.
Bank and other financial play, charge amount borrow was now available. I assure that the information submitted correctly, yes, and understood. Brock use terms and condition and Brock policy. This is interesting because let's look at the integrate. I would like to see if they are using my name. Okay, here's rather good. It's rather easy to understand. If you have read a little bit about GDPR, you can really see directly that, well, they have the right to be forgotten and things like that. Rather good, rather good.
Any user willingly reading about GDPR, pretty different from me. I can say that for sure. So once again, how do people make decisions? If we have these kinds of differences in the behavior, what can we assume about our visitors? So I started to look into research, and what I noticed that we've definitely swayed throughout history. Let's go back to the 17th century, the Enlightenment, when it was the age of reason. People's logic and science were really celebrated. Of course, that led to a counter-reaction, the Romantic era, where intense emotions were celebrated. Feelings were the law. That, of course, led to a counter-reaction as well. During the 1950s, the dominating economic theory was that people were homo economics. That is, we chose the alternative that gave the best outcome. Always searching for the optimal alternative. Now, I don't know about you, but I think that we have people who have a dating history that would say something completely different. We do not always choose what is best for us. So, of course, that led to a counter movement as well. During the 1970s, this view started up about people are unaware of what influences us. We don't really know. Daniel Kahneman is one of the dominating profiles within this. I think most of you, or many of you, have read his book, Thinking Fast and Slow. And he's saying that we have two methods of thinking, two modes of thinking. We have system one, which is fast, and using feelings and instinct. And we have system two, which is using calculation and logic. So we're all capable of being both within this. We can be logical, we can be emotional. It's all about what's being triggered in that situation. This, of course, led to where we are today. And that is that we've started to talk about this in a way that, yeah, absolutely, that's definitely correct. We like the compromise here, but don't we all know that some people are more prone to being logical, investigating all alternatives, reading through the document of GDPR, and some are prone to being more emotional. And that has led us to personality tests, behavior types, and so on. So that is where we are today. The discussion around this is already starting up. So psychologists are rightfully saying that the scientific proof behind behavior types are quite weak. That is correct. People are more complex in that we would always act in a specific way. But we are not here to psychoanalyze one person. It's fine for us if one person sways between different behavior types, if we're sometimes very, very logical and sometimes a bit more emotional. That's okay for us, because as long as we cover the different cognitive ways of processing information, we can still use the framework. So let's have a look at how we can do this. I like using Brian Eisenberg and Jeffrey Eisenberg's model. I've stated this before. So we're either fast-paced in our decision-making or slow-paced. We're either logical or emotional. Let's have a look at what that would mean. So, the competitive person, these people want to understand quickly, what are you giving me? What are you trying to sell me? They are doing it with the help of facts. So they want stats, they want you to explain what you're selling, but they want it to be super clear. They don't want to read a lot, not at all. They will scan through the page looking for headers and bullet lists, anything that they can use to quickly understand what is this. They also get very frustrated by bugs very easily, and if you have a CEO who sometimes kind of stops you and say, is everything going good? And you want you to summarize your whole business in like 2 sentences, this is that person. Can be difficult to sometimes answer. Let's have a look at a person that I would say is quite competitive and a site that this person really likes. This person has been doing a lot of usability tests for me, and I've never seen him being this positive. Let's play.
I like the photo, I like the text and everything. So this is clean Scandinavian design. I like it. Scrolling down. Okay, here we got some featured pieces. Nice photos. The sideways scroll here is kind of choppy. So it's not entirely smooth. But I can see the prices and the name of it very clearly. So it's very clean, very readable, everything. The photo is like it's zoomed in a way so that I have to like go up and down to actually see. Here I can see the t-shirt. but to switch, I have to scroll down to here, and now I don't see the t-shirt anymore. So here, when I switch to here, now I see the same item button in a different color, but with a different model, and up here, and then I have to go down here to switch again. So I want to see this photo and this where I switch between the colors in the same place. So this is very clear down here, not a lot of text, and they've hidden it behind these things. So that's really nice. I mean, this is clearly well thought through. They're hiding things that I maybe don't want to see right away. And here's this add promotion code. So it's good that it's hidden, but since I see it, I'm going to assume that there are promotion codes here. So at this point, I would leave the site. I would Google and try to find promotion codes because if I don't find a good promotion code, I'm going to feel like I made a bad deal. So I saw that when I came to the site, the first time there was a 10% off if I sign up. So I would never ever buy anything off this site without an at least 10% promo code. And if it doesn't work, I would probably just get pissed off and leave. Otherwise than that, this is clearly a very, very good site. Thank you.
So do you notice how he has an opinion about everything? And he speaks with a lot of urgency. Yeah, this is This is a competitive person. So how would I design for these people? Well, first of all, I would make sure that I have a folded out search bar, because as we know, people who search convert 4 times more often. And these people want to find what they're looking for very fast. So I would fold out the search. I would also not make the mistake, as so many companies are doing, of just having the product categories in the menu. No, have them out in the open, so that these people who are very fast acting immediately can see where I want to go. Where is the product that I'm looking for? Before they click that, I would also make sure that I would give them some facts, because as we know, they are logical, they want the facts. So I would give some value propositions. So say that I was selling beds, I would say premium quality, 25 years warranty, free and fast delivery. Making sure that before they go, they understand what I'm giving them. And finally, I would have a value proposition at the top of all pages throughout the funnel, so that they always know why I am the best for them. For instance, free shipping, express delivery. Something like that, that gives them facts about why I am the best. Okay, let's have a look at the opposite when it comes to behavior types. The methodical person. These are slow-paced and logical. For them, it's important to make the right decision. So they do research and they compare and evaluate. So you have to have a product comparison, super important. I can't stress that enough. They will read pretty much everything on the page, and they trust experts. So if you have any kind of value proposition connected to experts, use that. They do not like to be rushed. So be careful with too much urgency. Be careful with countdowns and contests. They might feel that you are not solid. Let's have a look at a methodical person, as I would say, at least behaving methodical in this situation, and a favorite site for that person. So this is also a person that I'm using a lot, and I've never seen him this positive. It's the product page for the Swedish IKEA site. And as we all know, IKEA is kind of turning us all into engineers. They have a soul that is very methodical. And let's have a look how that matches.
This is something I like. I can choose whether I would like to go and fetch it or directly in Linköping, or if I should make so they can send it to me. Product description. So you can see an this. Yes, I can do the size of it rather easy. It's massive furu, massive Oregon. Okay, practical loader, yes. Maximum quality draw, yes. Okay, the size I have already set. How does the package look? This is nice. I like it. You can see whether I need to take my car or I have to have a wagon behind the car. This is good. This is good. And this is the most important things. Is how do I do this? Okay. Well, it's the normal thing. I can do it. It's nothing really special. It takes some time, but that's okay. Okay, then I know that I can have it from the web. I don't really need the paper for it. Okay. I think I will take this one. And tell me where you live by the zip code. 36. Oh, this is really good. Oh, I can see directly the cost for it. And of course I pay this instead of taking the car and going in. That was really nice. And I can see the total amount of money. Well, I think this was okay.
So do you notice how happy he gets when he gets all his questions answered? That's what he wants. He wants to feel confident to move forward. So we have to make sure that the facts are there. And this is how I would design for him. So we have some facts already, but further down on the page, I would include some kind of product comparison. The Nielsen Norman Group have a really good article about how to design a product comparison on mobile, which can be a bit tricky, but it comes down to having columns and being able to see everything very, very clearly. I would also have read more links so that they can go to other pages and see, for instance, the expert's guide on bed selection. What kind of experts do you have within your company? How would they answer questions for a methodical person? Make sure that you produce a page, FAQ, whatever it can be, and have that somewhere. And since they are slow-paced and will scroll pretty much the whole page, I can design for it further down. So let's have a look at the third behavior type, the spontaneous people. They are emotional and fast-paced, so they make decisions based on feelings. They will follow brands and trends, and it's super important for them to create a lifestyle. And also they enjoy images, but they will not read any small text. They do not have time for that because they are so very fast acting. So they move forward in a very complex world very quickly. And they manage to do that by connecting shortcuts. Signals. For instance, this product has a high original price. Okay, then it must be good quality. They don't go to any kind of comparison site to make sure that it actually is better quality. They just take that signal for granted and see that there's an offer right now, only today, 50% off. That will trigger them because they are so fast acting. So persuasion techniques are very good for them. This is how I would design for them. So since they are so very focused on lifestyle, I would definitely have an image conveying that lifestyle. And I would have some kind of offer, today only 40% off. We need to be careful with this one, because the methodical people might be pissed off about it. So we need to A/B test that. Then, since they know, these people know that they are not the researchers of the world, so they trust the opinions of other people. So I would have some kind of most popular section. And I would also make sure that I do something with a brand, having influencer or whatever it could be. Great. Final behavior type. The humanistic people. They are emotional and slow-paced. I find these people very, very interesting. They make sense of the world in a different way. So they use anything that affects human emotions, creativity, storytelling, social belonging. But most of all, they trust other people. What is it that's telling us that an article on the web would be more trustable than asking a friend? There's nothing saying that the article would be more qualitative, right? That is how these people are thinking. So when I was at Hyundai, we noticed that these people were the ones who trusted the friends. If they had sat in a car with a friend and that friend loved that car, that is what they trusted. If they had had a good experience with a salesperson, that is what they trusted. My mom and dad were looking for a car, and my mom got back from, they had been to 3 different car sellers. She got back from that and she said, yeah, but there's this one. And the person there looked me in the eyes, and he listened to me when I spoke. That is where they bought the car. My father is super methodical, but he had already seen that the cars were pretty much the same thing. So she made that decision based on she trusted that person. They are very loyal when they find that, and thereby also very valuable because they can become social ambassadors that will really root for you and your brand. So we have several sections here that would be good for them. For instance, they will like this kind of communication as well. But what I would, and of course the influencer, if they relate to that influencer, then that is really good for them. But what I would include are quotes from other customers. Not just numbers, not just a score. Make sure they can hear that customer saying what they like about the product. Super, super valuable. Okay, so what do we do with this? Well, maybe all those visitors that you see in Google Analytics aren't as anonymous anymore. First of all, if you start doing usability tests, you will find out the why. Why is the bounce rate as it is? Why is the conversion rate as it is? And you can fix those problems. And by starting to design for all these 4 behavior types, you will understand their wants and needs from you, no matter what kind of product you're selling. This is not about, yeah, but just because we're selling a car, then we need to be super methodical. Not at all. Spontaneous people buy cars from the look of it. Is it a beautiful car? I like this color. That is also a way of making sense of the world. So start designing for these 4 behavior types, and you will see the people behind the data. And finally, don't focus on what you want to say, focus on what they need. If you want to hear more about this, I would go to winonmobile.withgoogle.com, where there's a CRO course, Win on Mobile, where you can get even more A/B testing suggestions from episode 5 and forward. There's a lot of suggestions about what to A/B test. Got that? Yes, beautifully. And finally, just to summarize, start doing 5 usability tests per month, start designing for the 4 different behavior types, and start combining quantitative with qualitative. That's when we win. Thank you.